Coming to you from the Texoma area, I'm your co-host, Garrett.
I'm your co-host, Cody.
And we are the Bourbon Nerds. Welcome to episode 1 called A New Beginning. Hey, Cody, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, despite my fantasy teams absolutely taking a huge dump. But we've got an exciting podcast, our first episode today, and we're also celebrating. What are we celebrating today as well?
Technically, around this time last year is when I first decided, hey, you know what? I want to get into bourbon, like a true alcoholic that I deep down am so in there, you know what I mean?
Yeah, just first off, drink responsibly. Do not drink and drive. But it's been a hell of a journey. It's funny. We joked about starting a podcast, and I bought 2 pod mics and said, let's do it. And here we are today.
Yeah, it's verbal's binding. We can't go anywhere now. We bought the pod mics. We were all invested. We're all in here. So It has been a crazy year, though. This time last year, I thought this would just be just a kind of a fun thing to do and go and do events. But here we are a year later, and I'm like, oh, I'm a professional enough to where I could start a podcast.
Yeah, we're not professional bourbon drinkers. I will say I love bourbon. Just want to get that out there in the open. And I have a lot of bourbon, and I've tried a lot of bourbon, and I like to learn, read about it, watch whiskey tubers. Be a psychopath and go to the liquor store at 5 a.m. in the morning and wait for a bottle to drop with a bunch of other psychopaths and freeze to death. And I'll say I've met some of the most amazing people in this bourbon world that we live in, and I'm all in. And here we are with a podcast, and we want this to be entertaining. We want it to be an educational thing, and we hope you listen and find something you like and come back.
Yeah, thanks for coming in and checking us out. Hopefully we're interesting enough for you guys to come back later for the later episodes. This is our first episode, kind of an introduction episode where we're going to kind of introduce ourselves and some of the things we like, and then talk about some, nerd stuff. We have a lot of fun things that we're going to talk about on this episode. So hopefully some of it catches your attention, and if you have anything, we'll always have a comment section for you guys to go in and let us know how we did or some stuff you might want to listen to. So
yeah, I think our plan is to record like 3 episodes and then really kind of take a step back and figure out what we want to do best. We're starting with a podcast. We will do some videos. We do want to do some interviews. We plan to have some guests on the pod. We hope to get some sponsors. We hope to do some barrel picks and stuff. We'll probably do some raffles, just seeing if it can take off a little bit. Maybe give out some Blantons or something, for you Blanton lovers out there. But we've got a lot of ideas. We don't want to just be the same person drinking a bourbon and it tastes like caramel apples and cinnamon sugar.
Your caramels and your vanillas and your sweet oak.
Yeah, and I love those flavors, so don't get me wrong at all. So, but we have our first segment we're going to dive into. It's called From Barrel to Brain.
And in this segment, we kind of go over the history of a bourbon. We usually so our goal is to have like a bourbon of the podcast, and we kind of taste the bourbon, let you know what we think of it. And then we kind of go into the history of that bourbon and what makes that bourbon. Because, you'll go into a liquor store and you'll just see all these alcohols on the shelves. So you're like, oh man, I want to go get my Jack Daniels, or I want to go get this. But nobody ever thinks about the history of that or what comes into making that, and maybe this will help open up people's minds and try new and interesting things is our goal for that. But there is a lot of really cool history. Obviously, we can't get into the whole history of bourbon because it's a huge wide variety, but we hope to cover a lot of it through each episode and just kind of go as we go and, have fun with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have 2 special bourbons today. And actually, the one I'm going to talk about is my surprise bourbon of the year, something that I will literally scream from the rooftops.
Which, to be fair, I did tell him, hey, you should try this bourbon. It's really freaking good. And I don't think he's regretting me telling him to give it a go.
To be fair, I bought the bourbon, I think, before you did.
Yeah, and you do have batch 1, and mine wasn't batch. I think mine first one was like a batch 14 or something. But they're amazing. Like each batch is a little different, but they're all really, really good. So I'm glad that he picked this one.
Yeah. So the bourbon I'm going to talk about today is called James E. Pepper. It comes in a beautiful decanter glass. Lovely. If you find one, buy it. If you find another one, buy it. And then if you find more, just buy it. Now, please don't, because I want people to have the opportunity to find it out there. But James and Pepper is a barrel proof. It's 106 proof. It was actually re-released in 2023. It's a recreation of the historic bottle they produced in 1945. It's a blend of corn, rye, malted barley, and malted rye. So MSRP is around $65. So pretty good. And I'll talk a little bit more, but I want you to introduce your, what do you got in your glass over there, buddy?
So the one I picked as a surprise bourbon, it was kind of tough because, I also loved the James E. Pepper, but we wanted to kind of show more than just that one. And I also didn't want to pick something that would be too hard to find. Like, there's a couple different things that could have been up here. New Riff 8 was really good. The Ben Holiday soft red wheat rickhouse proof was delicious. Like
Russell's 15.
Yeah, the Russell's
probably
15.
bourbon of the year.
Yeah, that was really good. We just wiped out that bottle the other day. So R.I.P. Russell's 15.
Yeah.
But the one I chose was actually a newer one that I got, and heck, we're already halfway through this bottle, and hopefully I can get another one soon. But it's actually from Pursuit United. It is their double oaked bourbon. This one, it comes in at 108 proof. Let's see here. I have some of the statistics on it. So the interesting thing about this is, so Pursuit doesn't make their own stuff. They actually use 3 different distilleries and their mash bills. So they use a Kentucky distillery, which is 75% corn, 21% rye, and 4% malted barley. That one is supposedly confirmed to be Bardstown Bourbon Company, which you'll kind of learn that that's probably my favorite distillery. They also get one from New York, which is 70% local corn, 20% red winter wheat, 10% malted barley. That is the Finger Lakes Distilling, which I haven't had any Finger Lakes. Have you had any Finger Lakes Distilling?
Nope. Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's something we'll have to look into at a later time, because
Absolutely.
I always like to try different things, and I don't think I've had any bourbon from New York. The really interesting one of this one, though, is a Tennessee, which typically when you see places sourcing from Tennessee, like if you look at it and it doesn't say it's distilled by that place, but it's distilled out of Tennessee, a lot of times it's going to be Dickel. And the thing that people don't like about Dickel is it has like a minerality flavor, almost like someone always says like Flintstones vitamins, which is an interesting thing, because I used to like the Flintstone vitamins back in the day.
Flintstone kids.
But they specifically said it is not Dickel. And so from Tennessee, the things that come to mind are Jack Daniels. I'm not super versed with Tennessee distilleries, so there's no telling, but it is 80% corn, 10% rye, 10% malted barley. Jeez, I don't know why malted barley is so hard for me to say.
Say malted barley 5 times. Malted barley, malted barley, malted barley, malted barley. Okay, I'm not going to do that. Sorry.
All right. Just show off over there. I see how it is. Okay. This one doesn't have an age statement as far as I know, but I know Bardstown's typically like 6 years. And I don't know, like I said, I don't know much about Finger Lakes. I'll have to look into them a little bit more. But
finger licking good.
Finger licking good. But the Pursuit United brand is interesting. They kind of started as a companion to the popular Bourbon Pursuit podcast, which that podcast is really interesting. They do some really cool things there. Hopefully one day we can kind of be on that level. But they started by producing single barrels of whiskey under that label. And then they released their first official whiskey, which was a bourbon, in early 2021, and followed by a rye later that year. Now they're doing really cool things. Some oak collection series. Obviously this double oak just came out, and it's freaking fantastic. Their whole goal was to make it like a caramel bomb, and it lives up to that. It's really, really freaking good.
It's delicious. Like if you want a dessert in a glass, and I know you've heard that before, but literally it's smooth as butter. I get a little maple. Oh man, it's yummy.
Yeah, it says they undergoes a lengthy secondary finish using custom 36-month seasoned French oak medium toasted staves. It's 3 years is a long time to finish, a bourbon. Yep. Especially on top of the age statement that it probably already is. And this is actually a super affordable bourbon. Like when you think about something like this, you're like, oh man, it's gonna be like $150 bottle, and it's pretty affordable in the $75 range, which James E. Pepper is also kind of in that $65 range, which is always really nice.
Yeah, I mean, great value. I mean, if you're getting a world-class bottle. So let me tell you what we did. We did a blind about a couple months ago. I can't exactly remember what it was, but we had a blind with Stag Junior, Discovery Series 11 from Bardstown, Knob Creek 12, and there was a couple other bottles, but James E. Pepper won that blind, and it was like we were like there was no difference.
I don't even think it was close.
I don't think it was close either, and I was shocked. I really thought it was Stag Junior. I'm a Stag Junior guy. Shout out to Buffalo Trace. They're not sponsors either.
Not a sponsor.
But the cool thing about learning a little bit about, Colonel James E. Pepper, he lived from 1850 to 1906. This guy was a bourbon industrialist. He was in third generation. This guy did a bunch of stuff. Had one of the best distilleries out there from a technological standpoint, really ahead of its time. He convinced Kentucky to change their laws in 1890, allowing distilleries to bottle their own whiskey, which before then you couldn't do it. They call it rectifiers, which we'll talk in another podcast. There's a lot of interesting. Four Roses is another company that came from rectifiers. So keep that topic down. He came up with a strip stamp seal. So first one to invent that. And also I think the coolest thing I've learned about is they're supposedly, and again, I'm getting this information off some other website. The old fashioned was invented based off of in his honor. So from a bartender in a club in Louisville. So I need to do a little bit more research on that. Again, you can fact check me. And if we're wrong, I'm looking this stuff on the internet and trying to figure out the most honest stuff. But again, this is a phenomenal. The nose is a little toasted oak walnuts. Get some oak and dark fruit. I mean, the finish is creamy vanilla. It's smooth. The finish is great. A little nutmeg just to top it off. The age is around 5.5 years. So again, it does vary from bottle. And again, we're drinking today batch 1. I do have a couple other batches. We have tried other batches. They are good. Maybe not quite as good as batch 1. So there's a little batch variation, but again, highly, highly recommend. I mean, if I'm coming to you with bourbons I've tried this year, I've had birthday bourbon just the other day. I had the opportunity to do that. Michter's 10-year rye, which I'm in love with. This is my surprise bourbon of the year, and I hope you get the opportunity to buy a bottle and try it and comment, send us an email, write us, text us, whatever, and let us know if you like it. So
yeah, we always like recommendations because I know what it's like to go into a liquor store and you're like scrounging Google or whatever, trying to figure out, is this worth, paying $50-$60 for? So it's always nice to whenever you can see like an overwhelming, like everybody's like, yes, it's so good, go get it. And there's still so many other bourbons like that I still want to try. In the year I've been into bourbon, I've tried so many different things. And you talked about those those raffles, things that we do when we go and are super early and we hang out with people. Those people are always, just come in with just trunks full of bourbon. And it's really cool to get to like try all those different things that you wouldn't normally get to try. You have good conversations. They bring out breakfast. Like, the bourbon community is just such a great community. And I'm just
Absolutely.
really happy to be a part of it. And this is a really fun journey. I look forward to see where this journey goes, in the years to come.
Yeah, you're getting all sentimental on me over there. I want to give a shout out to the Someone Say Whiskey bourbon group. I'm in a few other bourbon groups. That one to me is special. I want to call out Sean Hunt. I think he likes more posts than I've ever seen anyone in my life, but he's a good friend to help me get some good bourbon bottles. But that bourbon group is phenomenal. Like just a bunch of great people sharing, caring, good causes. I mean, I can't speak enough about how great and privileged and honored I am to be a part of that group. Alex and a bunch of those guys are just
Alex Baptista.
Yeah, he's
super,
excellent.
He runs that group, or I know there's more people that run it, but he always does the lives every month and everything, keeping everybody on track. And
yeah,
he's the one I've probably had the most interaction with.
Yeah, I mean, they partner with some great liquor store owners, which hopefully they'll be sponsors one day. But it just what they're doing, some of their store picks and stuff, and just we got the Willet that they did.
The Willet purple
MG.
tops, like that's just an insane. Like you're able to get those picks, they're just insane.
And yeah, it was a little pricey, but that juice is Good.
And every $20 of that bottle, they went to this suicide prevention cause, which I thought was really cool. They always looking for a cause or something good to do with it. So those guys are awesome. We went to a sushi event not long ago, and it's just one of the best. It's just one of the best things to go to a really good restaurant and try some good bourbon with a lot of really cool people, have good conversations. I look forward to more of those kind of events in the future.
Yep, definitely. So I think it's time to transition from the barrel to brain to our sports segment. Quite a bit of upsets yesterday in the old college football. And I got to say real quick, I was a big hater of college football. You took away Bedlam from me, which is the OU, and I'm a big Go Pokes, Oklahoma State.
I'm kind of surprised they don't still play that game, because you can still have a few out of conference games.
They couldn't agree to terms, so they let that game relapse. But I will say college football has been fire. Yes, it's NFL light, and I'm sorry if you're a sacred college owner, but the playing field has been evened. It's exciting. You've got teams getting beat. I mean, we had a ton of upsets yesterday. And yes, Penn State winning was not an upset, but it was a very close game, 26-25 against Minnesota. You had Arizona State beating BYU. That was number 21 versus 14.
Which it would have been really cool to see, which I know BYU can still, win and potentially make the playoffs. But I always like seeing the underdog story. Like, you don't ever expect a BYU to be in there, like Indiana. Like, I was looking at scores or matchups the other day, and I was like, oh, I must be in the college basketball section because number 5 Indiana is playing number 2 Ohio State. No, it was football. Indiana University was number 5, and that just blew my mind. Just not something you expect.
Yeah, I don't mean to switch gears real quick because we'll come back to college, but your Texans lost.
I don't want to talk about it.
I'm sorry, and yes, I support the Cowboys for because we are really trying to get into the Dallas Oklahoma City market, but I'm a huge Denver Broncos fan. Go Bo Nix.
I can't believe Will Levis just came in and just made us look stupid.
Yeah, he had his Wheaties today.
They're 3-7 now, but they were a 2-7 Tennessee team. We were just coming off of it's not a huge win against the Cowboys because they have Cooper Rush, but actually the Cowboys and the Commanders, as we're talking, I believe they were going in an overtime. I don't know what happened.
No, Cowboys.
They called the touchdown back.
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
Well, Cowboys 34.
Oh no, another
26.
kickoff return. Holy crap.
That's nuts.
2 kickoff returns, dude.
In one game. If you're a Cowboys fan right now, you're literally praising the Lord right now, celebrating. This is your Super Bowl.
Thank God for those special teams getting you guys out of a pickle.
Absolutely.
Which you guys should have. That game was over like 5 minutes ago, and then the Commanders, they're just so good. Jane Daniels is such a good young talent. Like absolutely. that team's got such a future. It's going to be interesting to see.
The Vikings and Bears are in overtime,
which is crazy because the Vikings had that game the whole time. Which by the time you guys listen to this, you're like, oh yeah, that's old news, guys. But this is a live update, as it's going.
Yeah, absolutely. Didn't mean to interrupt you there. Let's get back to college football. Something that happened in Oklahoma. Football team yesterday.
I think a lot of people were shocked by that one. And you know what's really funny is I don't know how long it's been since like OU's like rushed the field because we've been such an underdog. I say I'm not like an OU fan. My family are huge OU fans, but it's just funny because they're always like in the top 25 or whatever. So rushing the field isn't something that's super common at OU, but I just thought that was wild. Like. And holding Alabama to 3 points is just kind of an insane, feat in itself. That's just not something that happens.
Yeah. And I was listening to the ticket on Friday when I went to go pick up my daughter from school, and they were talking about Auburn and putting Texas A&M on an upset alert. And I was like,
they're playing at Auburn.
They were, and Auburn's okay, but man, Texas A&M's been playing pretty well this year. It went to 4 overtimes.
Yeah, and Texas A&M came out really slow, which our friend Matt, we call him Fathead, but he's the biggest Texas A&M fan. I think his daughter goes there. She's going to the Texas A&M Texas game next week, but yeah, he was just pacing the office the whole time. I was there like, all right, I have to leave. You're making me anxious.
You know what 4 overtimes is? We call that free football.
Well, and it's the whole overtime thing is weird because when you get to that 4th one, they just start doing 2-point conversions, which I think is silly. I don't know. I think the whole overtime thing, which college and NFL are just weird and need to be relooked at, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, that's a debate for a later time. And then there's a couple things else in college I wanted to talk about. Florida beat Ole Miss. I was not expecting that.
Florida's kind of been playing close games a lot this season.
Yeah, they've just been losing a lot.
And Ole Miss, honestly, has looked good at some points. And Jackson Dart just, like, I was watching the highlights, and he just, I don't know what happened. He just looked like he was so rattled, and that threw 2 straight picks, and almost just like he gave up on life. Almost, it was wild just watching him on the sidelines.
The air just kind of deflated out of his body. And if you're not watching Boise State, you haven't heard about their running back, Ashton.
I think anyone that pays attention should know that name. Honestly, he should be the Heisman favorite.
This dude, so he had 19 carries, 169 yards, and a touchdown. Season, 275 carries, 2,062 yards, 27 touchdowns. He has an average rush attempt of 7.5. This guy is must-see TV. I'm praying that I have the ability, and I have a dynasty fantasy football league that I'm in, that I will trade half my team to get this guy, because I'm really weak at running back.
Well, and they say that the projections show him going to the Cowboys. So, I mean, I guess that's possible. But to put that in perspective, so Barry Sanders has the record for most yards in a season. He has 2,628 yards and 37 touchdowns in 11 games. Like, that's... I don't know how you beat that.
Well, Barry Sanders is a GOAT. I don't even get started. He played at Oklahoma State, which is my favorite college team. I did go to school there as well. So shout out to Go Pokes. But again, that's pretty amazing. SMU this year has been intriguing. They keep winning. They've done very well. They're an exciting team. If you're not familiar with Rashee Rice, he played football at SMU. Got a little bit of trouble over this. I think the summer or the break. I can't remember exactly.
There's a lot of trouble going on in the NFL.
Yeah, it's hard
someone from some teams doing something.
Yeah, Roger
the Chiefs
Goodell
can't stay out
cover-ups,
of it.
but
It's like, yeah.
We're not going to have a conspiracy pod. So, but a lot of exciting things in college football. I'm really excited for the playoff expansion this year. As we get closer to that, we'll talk quite a bit about that. So, we have another segment, which we're not going to talk a whole lot about this our first episode, but we're going to call this segment Nerd Rage. Nerd Rage. Today I just want to talk about Call of Duty for a second. So Black Ops 6 just came out. Pretty cool game. They just redid Warzone, which is I love playing Warzone. If you want to play with me and get on the Bourbon Nerds and listen to us, give me a shout out. But they completely changed the whole complexity of the game, just everything. It's a completely different game. It seems like Fortnite and Call of Duty, if they had a baby, that's what this would be. And it's starting to warm up to me. So the verdict is still out, but
did they bring zombies back?
Yeah, they have zombies in Black Ops, which is pretty cool. If you've ever played zombies, that's a great, if you're hanging out on the weekend and having a few brewskis or bourbons and want to play some zombies with your buddy. I mean, it's a good game. It's fun. I haven't played the new one yet. I need to check it out. So, but new Call of Duty, it's fun. We're going to talk a little bit about gaming and different things in this segment. If there's something you want us to talk about, let us know in the comments and post, and we'll have some channels for you to do that. So.
Yeah, I just don't play a ton of games anymore. Like I play the NCAA football, which is fun. I'm playing the Road to Glory right now. My running back's like Ashton GNT. I'm just averaging like 250 yards a game right now, and it's pretty wild. I used to love playing games back in the day. Like some of my favorite games are like Resident Evil 4. I loved the Fable games, which I think they're going to come out with a new Fable, which would be really exciting. I don't know. I think my attention span has just not been there. I don't know what it is. Like,
yeah, I noticed that too. Like I used to be able to play video, and I do sometimes play. I got out of gaming for a while. Used to be a huge gamer. Then COVID happened, which we don't want to talk about, aka the blip. And then I started gaming. Honestly, shoot, if it wasn't for us getting together with some of my buddies and at 7:00 at night, and that was my ability to connect with people and stuff. So we don't have to go down that dark road, but got me back into gaming, and it's kind of a stress reliever. I think it's good for your brain. I'm kind of figuring out puzzles and stuff. So I think there's a lot of qualities. Obviously you need to, if you have kids out there, you don't want your kids gaming all the time and not going outside and living their best life. But games are fun, man.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I was just gonna say I do play the Pokemon games. For some reason I can just play those on my Switch all day, and I have a great time. I have like the best psychic team or ghost team that you'll ever see, because this newest game. It's not Sword and Shield. It's I can't think of the name right now, but it's the first one where you can actually trade and get a Gengar, and Gengar is my all-time favorite Pokemon. So it's really cool. And I was
Snorlax. If I was going to have a favorite, all-time favorite, I'm not a huge. My daughter loves Pokemon. I'm trying to help her figure out how to play the trading card game, but got to catch them all. So that's what Bourbon. I say that all the time. You got to catch them all.
And then I think what really kind of made me realize I can't quite get into games as much anymore is I was playing it wasn't God of War Ragnarok. It was the one before that. It was just God of War. It was like the reboot, or, kind of the new one. It was like the whole reason I got a PlayStation 5. And I'm just playing, and I feel like I'm playing for like 3 or 4 hours, and I'm like, man, I have to be pretty deep into this game. And I look, and I'm like 4% into the game. I'm like, holy crap. And I just think it's almost like a daunting thing. Like, it's like you put so much effort into some of these games, and it's just like you're just not making any progress, and you just have to play like 30 hours or something. So yeah. I don't know. That might be why it's just like, man, I don't think I could invest 30 hours into this game.
Yeah, it's kind of so like I play a little bit of Diablo 4, which Diablo is my favorite game of all time. Like Diablo 2, I think is the best game that ever was created. But that's a fun. They came out with a new class with the expansion this last season, and the Spiritborn, which is OP as you could ever get out. It just melts stuff. So I don't know what games you guys like to play. Maybe you're not a gamer. Maybe you don't want us to talk about gaming. That's fine. We'd like to hear from you. But we're going to move on to the next segment, which this one's dear to your heart. So I'll let you go ahead and lead us off for the.
Yeah. So this one's like the entertainment segment where we talk about movies, music, things like that. And I mean, honestly, I could talk about this all day. We could have like a 10-hour long podcast talking about movies. But one of the things I wanted to talk about, so TV shows, there's a lot of, it's kind of overwhelming with how many different TV shows and stuff come out. You have some great ones like Game of Thrones that started really great, kind of ended, which I think the problem is a lot of shows have a hard time ending a show. And so you always find the later seasons kind of lacking. But I have a huge list of television that I still need to watch. But right now I'm currently watching Yellowstone. I don't know how many people out there watch Yellowstone. I'm sure it has a really great following, but I find it really interesting because I actually grew up on a peanut farm, which I know isn't quite the same as like a Yellowstone ranch, but growing up on a farm ranch, it's pretty interesting experience. We didn't have to like shoot militia or anything like that, but I'm enjoying Yellowstone. They're pretty interesting characters.
Can I ask you a serious question?
Yeah.
Did you ever take anyone to the train station?
So no, but I don't know if we would have called it the train station. I felt like that was pretty clever of them.
Hey, we're going to take you out back here and make some peanut butter. Never see him again.
No, growing up on a farm is pretty interesting, and there are definitely a lot of interesting people. Like a lot of those characters come out, and I'm like, yeah, I knew one of those guys growing up. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty funny. Have you ever watched Yellowstone?
Absolutely. That show's phenomenal. I remember I think the first episode 1, he gets in a car crash.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm hooked.
You're hooked by the car crash?
Yeah. And what is it's been a minute. I need to catch up. We need to get Paramount Plus with the 16 different streaming services that you have, which are not a sponsor. You're going to hear say that a lot, but, yeah, I remember, what's the girl's name? That's crazy. And
Beth.
Yeah. Beth. Holy cow, dude. She's like,
dude, my wife loves her, and I'm like,
she's phenomenal.
What?
She's awesome.
It's really funny. Like, so I don't know why this made me think of it, but it just reminded me of like when people are like, oh, our love's like Harley Quinn and Joker. And I'm like, do you understand how that relationship is?
Yeah, that's crazy nuts.
That's like the craziest thing you can say. So when my wife says, oh, I love Beth Dutton, I'm like, I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah, we are not. No, I'm not even going to go down that road. Yeah, no, it's a great show. I've really enjoyed it. I need to get caught up. I'm a little bit behind, but me and my fiance like to watch it together, and yeah, it's good. It's a good show.
What do you think is the greatest TV show of all time?
Oh gosh, you're going to put me on the spot. We didn't even plan for this. The greatest TV show of all time.
Or the greatest single season, because I know what my answer would be for the greatest single season.
No, I honestly, I'm going to go back to the haters. Yes, the last season of Game of Thrones was not good, but that show was outstanding. The journey of that show was phenomenal. The acting was great. You fall in love with characters. You hate characters. You fall back in love with characters. Game of Thrones is probably my all-time favorite show.
I honestly blame that on multiple people. I blame that on George R.R. Martin for not ever completing the books. Like,
well, he gets assisted writing. Like, he has assistant writers that do a lot of the work for him.
But those two writers,
it was lazy writing.
But I also feel like those two writers didn't quite take his notes, and then they were so set on trying to go and start this new Star Wars trilogy that ended up not even working out.
Yeah,
that they didn't put as much effort into the last season, which we could have a whole segment on the last season of Game of Thrones and how.
Can we talk about bourbon for just a second? Like, when I take a drink of both of these bourbons, it makes me excited. It makes me happy. This James E. Pepper too. Like, do you have a bourbon that when you take a sip of it, you're like, oh my God, that's good. I'm so happy right now.
So many.
Yeah, so many.
I have that problem now where I have everything open on my bar. And so whenever I go in for like my nightly pour, I'm like, yeah, I don't know what I want. What am I in the mood for? That's all so good.
No, you have what, and we'll have to do probably next. I don't know. We've got a couple pods coming up. We'll probably do our top 5 faves or top 5, whatever. It's hard to tell. And if you haven't done a blind ever, I highly recommend. It'll challenge what you think you love and enjoy. Because if you remember that Bottle and Bond, 1792, you were a hater of it, and it got like third.
I wasn't a hater. I like my 1792 bottle,
like 1792.
Which actually it's gone now. I have 1792 Sweet Wheat and 1792 Full Proof, but I did finish that Bottle and Bond. It is good.
Those store picks are phenomenal too. If you pick one of those up, I like 1792. The 12-year is excellent. As well. So let's get back. I keep getting us off track here.
It's all good. That's the point of a podcast.
I know.
We're having a conversation is more than anything. Like, we don't have to rush what we're doing.
And you know what else we're doing? We're drinking 2 delicious bourbons.
Oh yeah. Well. I'm just going, and I'm already getting down. It's funny. I'm actually almost out of the James E. Pepper. I must be drinking that more. But
somebody likes James E. Pepper.
Yeah, I do.
I know. We love it.
I don't think that's a surprise.
Did you guys know that we love James E. Pepper, and you should go buy it right now?
James E. Pepper, the decanter series, is very tasty.
James E. Pepper Distillery, if you're listening to this, you should sponsor us. I will literally scream from the rooftop, I love James E. Pepper.
Dude, if you just send us 1 bottle of James E. Pepper each, like, we will name drop you guys every episode.
Yeah. And if you haven't,
I don't care.
Absolutely. So go back to your movies. You're a movie guy.
All right. Next up. So now I want to play a little game. So this is called, and I don't want to get too into the whole Christmas movie thing because it's not technically Christmas, but Christmas is coming up and there aren't a whole lot of Thanksgiving movies to talk about. So one of the things I wanted to ask, I want to play a game with Cody. And this is an interesting game that I'm sure a lot of people play and a lot of people will scream at their radios. But the game is it a Christmas movie? Are you ready?
Sure.
All right.
I'm ready to play.
Right.
Let's go. Price is right.
First one. Gremlins.
Yes.
It is a Christmas movie.
Yeah. Like I said, well, you didn't hear that because the recording stopped, but he's wearing a Christmas hat. If you're wearing a Christmas hat in the movie, it is a Christmas movie.
Yeah. So like in Grandma's Boy, whenever he goes to his drug dealers and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" He's like, "I'm putting up my Christmas tree."
Yeah.
So is that a Christmas movie? Is
Sure.
he wearing a Christmas hat?
I don't know. I need to rewatch that movie.
Yeah,
I love
movie's
that.
So good.
That's such a good movie. Like, I can't even tell you how funny that movie is, but if you haven't watched it, go watch it.
He's like, "Why are you naked?" I am naked. Come on in.
Yeah. Oh, no, can't stop. But we're not going to talk about that. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about, and it's hilarious.
You know.
Yeah.
I am a robot. All right. Batman Returns.
No.
Why?
Because it's not. It's a Batman movie. It's superhero, and it's not about Christmas. There's nothing in that movie besides him crashing into a Christmas tree or some...
But it's taking place during Christmas, and there's like
care.
Snow and everything.
So if I don't know. If I do something crazy during Christmas, it doesn't make it a Christmas theme, okay?
Frozen.
I believe it is, isn't it? The snowman?
I don't know. There's a snowman. There's a reindeer. they're technically not during Christmas, but there are Christmas themed things.
Oof. That's a curveball. Why are you changing things up?
I saw that and I thought that was an interesting one.
Frozen. Yes, sure. There's a snowman that's talking, and I bet he loves Christmas.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Let it go. Okay. Harry Potter and what is the first one? The
Sorcerer's
just Harry
Stone.
Potter movies in general. Just Harry Potter movies.
Not all of them, but I think there's one specifically.
I think the first one has a pretty heavy.
Yeah, there's a couple
Christmas part of it.
Christmas-ish. If you want to watch Harry Potter, I mean, yeah, Harry Potter's a good series.
I mean, to be fair, most of the time when I do like my Harry Potter like marathon, it takes place during Christmas. So
that's fair.
Like that fall time.
My fiance likes Harry Potter a lot, so I am frequently watching Harry Potter movies. It's okay. You do you, boo boo.
Edward Scissorhands.
No, I told you that. No, I don't believe it's a Christmas movie. I don't care if he's cutting up Christmas trees, if he's snipping mistletoes. No.
Last one. Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yes. Okay, you left out Die Hard.
Oh, I did believe out Die Hard.
Yeah, what is wrong with
Die
you,
Hard.
man?
Is
Die Hard,
a
yes,
Christmas
is a
movie?
Christmas movie, and I was I'm an anti Die Hard Christmas movie person before, but I watched it last year during Christmas with my family, and I was like, oh my god, maybe I've been missing this the whole time. I've been seeing all the gore and walking on glass, and I love Bruce Willis; he's amazing. So, but yeah, Die Hard's a Christmas movie. If you don't think so, that's your problem, not my problem. It's okay if you don't think it is, but you're wrong.
Well, and I truly am under the belief that it's not truly Christmas until Hans Gruber falls out of the window. So that's when Christmas begins, whenever he officially falls out.
Christmas,
it's kind of like Santa on Christmas morning getting cookies. It's Hans Gruber falling out the window.
No, it's Mariah Carey coming out of the grave to sing her "All I Want for Christmas."
Yeah, we don't need any of that. Like,
is
that's like a demon being. That's like supernatural demon. They need to go after Mariah Carey.
Yeah. There's a funny meme with Mariah Carey coming out of the ground as the Power Ranger evil lady. I love that meme. It made me laugh so hard. So if you like Power Rangers, and rest in peace, Green Ranger. But yeah.
Yeah, RP Jason David Frank, which actually I got
Absolutely.
to meet him before he died, and I have a couple things that's signed by him, and super nice guy. It's really sad that mental health is a real thing. So.
Absolutely. And we'll probably talk, and we want to get involved in some suicide prevention stuff. We play a tournament every year. What is
The Hunter Burton
the
Classic.
Hunter Burton Classic? Oh my God, it's a great event. About suicide prevention. So I don't want to go down that dark road right now, but we do want to be involved more in those types of activities. I've lost some friends to suicide. It's a touchy subject to me, and we want to do everything we can. If you ever think, and you're listening to this pod, that nobody cares, that's a lie. Somebody cares about something. If you need somebody to talk to, we're here. Somebody will be willing to talk to you. It's not worth ending a life over something that's going on in your life, because it's always going to get better. It's good for worse. It's like playing poker. Sometimes you lose, sometimes you win.
And the problem is a lot of them think like I'm a burden to people. It's more about I'm a burden to because they know people are there, but they feel like they're a burden. And I just want everybody to know that you're not a burden, and there are a lot of people out there who love and care about you, and just don't just feel free to reach out and there are people out there.
Absolutely.
Like I said, I don't want to get too much into this because it gets pretty emotional, and I know it's emotional for a lot of people. But
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and all we want is people to have a good time, enjoy life, and live your life.
yeah, Bourbon Nerds is for everybody.
Yep.
Everybody come out and enjoy, and hopefully you can get some enjoyment from this podcast.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping for.
So to kind of wrap this whole podcast up, because we've been going for a little bit here, I want to kind of ask you, I went into a little bit of my bourbon journey earlier. I want to kind of get into your bourbon journey, like your bourbon journey in general, with your reflection of the last year, kind of going forward, what you expect, just kind of those kind of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to go way past a year when I started drinking bourbon. So I had a boss. Well, it was actually a boss's boss that sent me my first really good bottle of bourbon. Was a Widow Jane 10-year. I had a drink of that, and I was like, "Holy cow! I didn't know bourbon can taste this great." Right, and it's if you drink bourbon and you haven't drank a lot of whiskey and stuff, it burns. It's tough. It's tough to handle, and that to me was like, wow. And that was groundbreaking to me. And so, I started my journey drinking Bullet and the normal stuff that people start drinking. Crown was really kind of my bridge to bourbon. And no, I'm not promoting Crown at all. But, I've met so many amazing people. I've tried so many amazing bourbons over this past year. But my goal is just to continue to, well, hopefully grow this podcast. I'd love to talk to more people about bourbon, teach more people about what's good, what's not good, right? I don't want you wasting your money on things that aren't going to make you happy. And, just try a great whiskey. That's what it's all about. And meeting people and enjoying the company of somebody that enjoys bourbon as much as you do, and talking about that and sharing that passion with someone else. That, to me, that's what this is all about. And I hope you get that passion when you listen to this podcast. And that's really, I think, what my journey is. And I want to continue to grow my BTAC collection and all the, cliche bottles that people don't want to collect or get. And,
the tater bottles.
Yeah, the tater bottles. So we're sipping on the Affinity bottle right now.
Oh, yeah, the Affinity blend. This is what
really
I made.
Good.
So this is like a mix of basically any Buffalo Trace product you can think of, anything from Blanton's Straight from the Barrel, Eagle Rare, Buffalo Trace Pick, Eagle Rare Pick. This has George T. Stagg in it. It's got Blanton Straight from the Barrel, which I might have already said that. It's got Rock Hill Farms. Just any kind of Buffalo Trace product that I've owned, I've thrown in this thing, and it is delicious.
Yeah, it tastes like a Buffalo Trace bomb, basically, but it's very good. I'm actually pretty good.
Also, real quick, so before we go, we wanted to go into Thanksgiving a little bit because we haven't talked about Thanksgiving. I wanted to know what your go-to Thanksgiving, like, what are you excited for Thanksgiving since we have that coming up?
Oh God, I it's funny because pecan pie. I only eat pecan pie around Thanksgiving time, and I absolutely love it. Specs has a pecan pie. If you don't want to make it, oh my God, it's delicious.
Yeah, you mentioned maple earlier, and I was like, the Crown Royal Maple pecan pie made me think of, we need to talk about Thanksgiving a little bit.
It's so good. And like Thanksgiving to me is like the bourbon holiday, right? You're thankful for the people around you that you love. You're thankful for the food, and you're thankful for the damn good whiskey. And I discussed on the pod, I didn't mean to do that, that you enjoy.
I mean, there are worse words out there than damn.
Yeah. Thanksgiving and bourbon are like married together because that's what bourbon's all about. Bourbon's about bringing people together and sharing something that you love.
Well, I personally, when I think of Thanksgiving and bourbon, I think you automatically go to wild turkey, and I don't think that's a bad choice by any means. But anyway, so I always look forward to my aunt's broccoli cheese rice casserole.
Oh God,
it's so good! Like, it's hard to beat, mashed potatoes and mac and cheese and rolls, and you just kind of pile everything into your roll. And I eat it like a sandwich, like a weirdo. But man, that stuff is really good. Also, I wanted to ask you, are you a white meat or a dark meat kind of guy when it comes to turkey?
I like it when you talk dirty to me. Dark meat, I think it's just got a little more flavor. The white is a little
dry.
Dull. It's all about the dry.
I'm weird on dry stuff. Like, that's why I don't like. That's why I don't like. I think it's like sliced chicken whenever it's in stuff. Or not like sliced chicken. It's I can't even think of what it's called. But like, there's some kind of chicken they'll put enchiladas in. I'm like, it's just really dry.
Oh, shredded chicken?
Shredded chicken.
Oh,
yeah, that's
God.
it. Yes, it's so dry.
Then you have had bad shredded chicken and bad enchiladas.
I don't know. This is at Viegas. So.
Yeah. Well, we're about to go to Viegas right now. They're not a sponsor, but I'm craving some Viegas.
I'm all about Viegas.
And 9th Street.
9th Street Viegas.
You probably know where we live now, so don't come find us. But
maybe chimichanga.
I forgot what we were talking about almost.
We were talking about Thanksgiving.
Oh, Thanksgiving. Yeah. Well, be
White
thankful. I'm dark. I'm a dark guy. So
All right.
all the way.
So just to kind of wrap this up before we go, which I've already said that before, but we like to talk to you guys, we want to keep talking, and hopefully we're interesting enough. But just to kind of end things, I want to, like I have a lot of people who have asked me about bourbon. They're interested to get into getting to their bourbon journey. And, I always think like, what are good recommendations as far as starter bourbons, which I know that could be a whole, discussion as itself, but just some quick, hits, like what are some quick, beginner bourbon hits for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you several because I want you to have choices, right? That's what it's all about. Be thankful for that. Wild Turkey 101, right? Yes, I know the 70th anniversary has come out, and it's absolutely outstanding. If you haven't had it, go. And we're turkey guys. I'm not going to lie. Not because it's Thanksgiving, but we love turkey. The Russell's picks, by God, are phenomenal. But let's get back to value, okay? Wild Turkey 101, Buffalo Trace, I think is a great. Early Times Bottle and Bond.
Early Times Bottle and Bond, yeah.
It's a knockout. The Old Forester 100 proof to me is a phenomenal mixer. Like, I know you're not a big Old Forester guy, but that one to me always makes a great old fashioned.
Yeah, so. People like the 1924, and I just haven't been a fan of it.
No, you do like 1924. You're like the 1920.
No, it's the 1920. Yeah. I do like the 1924.
Yeah.
The 10 year is really good.
Please retract that from the statement. But
yeah. I plead the fifth.
Yeah. Anyways, what else? I'm going to give you one more. I'm trying to think. Knob Creek 9. I love Knob Creek.
Knob Creek 9 is great.
Oh God, Knob Creek is so good. Like, if you don't like Knob Creek, then don't listen to our pod, because I love Knob Creek. And I'm just joking about that. Please listen to our pod.
Spoiler alert: Knob Creek 12 is both of our like it's up there. It's some of our favorite whiskeys.
It's a Snickers in a glass.
Knob Creek 9 is great. Like, especially even if you get those, like they have the single barrel ones that are 120 proof.
Yeah, those are so good.
I think people sleep on Knob Creek. I have a couple for you. I know I'm not a huge fan of it, but I have had some great picks of it. But a lot of people love the Woodford Reserve Double Oak.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one.
It's a little pricier, but yeah, it's good.
I would still kind of consider it a starter bourbon. Then you have the Old Grandad 114, which is always it's so good.
That's
good
a great
stuff,
value,
man. And it's the higher proof, so it's like it introduces you to that higher proof.
Mm-hmm. Makes a great old fashioned.
Yeah, and anything from Bardstown. I'm a big Bardstown guy. Whether it's the Bottled and Bond or the higher rye, just anything from the Origin series is great. Which the high wheat, we'll get into that on another episode, but. Man, that is freaking delicious.
Please don't run our future pod, because that will be a whole podcast about that guy.
That is one of the best whiskeys. Like, it's definitely, Anyway, we'll move on. But yeah, any of that stuff is really good. And if you want any other recommendations, the thing is, you just want to find what you like. You want to find your palate, which it's going to take some time to get that. It took me a while to kind of finally come around to being able to taste those flavors. And what's really important is to go out and buy some Glencairn glasses, because that's the best way to drink these.
Absolutely.
And you want to sit there and you want to smell it, and then you want to taste it and let it kind of sit on your tongue. And eventually your nose and your tongue are going to work together, and you're going to pick up all those flavors that you hear people talk about. And if they just tell you it tastes like vanilla and caramel and oak, they're probably just giving you the basic tasting notes, but eventually you're going to pick up other things, and like, there's all kinds of like burnt sugars, and we can do a whole thing on that, but just kind of find what you like. Find people, like I've always told people, I have no problem giving you samples of things I have, or if you go to those bottle shares or you go to those raffles, people have stuff, and just try everything. And I know it can get pricey, so you always want to try before you buy, kind of thing.
Yeah, and those bottle shares are phenomenal to go to. You get to try so many whiskey, and no one's going to that bottle share thinking, "Oh, please don't drink my whiskey." They're going there to say, "Drink it, enjoy it, have a good time." And
it's all about sharing and drinking.
Yeah, and I've tried more whiskey at some of those bottle shares, and no, I'm not an alcoholic. Let's calm down for a second. But those are great events. I don't. I drink responsibly.
We don't want to have a therapy session. Right
I don't
here
always
on the
drink
podcast.
bourbon, but when I do, I enjoy it.
Yeah. You don't drink and drive. You drink and then drive.
Yeah, no, it's called Uber.
Do not do that.
Uber's a good friend and not a sponsor. So Uber, if you want to sponsor us, we would love it as well. So I was going to leave us with one more thing and I kind of forgot it. But yeah, enjoy bourbon. Share it. Don't be one of those stingy people. Oh, I've got this blah, blah, blah bottle of rare breed, whatever. I'm not going to share it with anyone. Share your bourbon, man. Enjoy it. It's not there to sit on it. And yes, I'm a collector, so don't talk smack about what I do. I like to collect. So
open them up. They're not going to go with you when you die. You know, it's like, okay, you can collect, but open it up, try it, try it, enjoy it. It's there to enjoy. The most important thing about bourbon is sharing it with friends and having, just a really good time and hanging out. And it's a very leisure kind of, it's like a leisure hobby. It's more than being an alcoholic. Alcoholics, they go to the bar and they go to the liquor store and they buy the cheapest thing and they try to shoot it and get drunk as quick as possible. That's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to pour a little 2-ounce glass and try to pick out flavors and stuff. It's more than that.
It's about an experience. And
Absolutely.
You want to share that experience with people that you care about and enjoyed being around.
Absolutely.
That's what bourbon is. And we hope you enjoyed this podcast. This is our first episode. We are going to do multiple episodes, so stay tuned. We've got some really good things cooked up for you guys, and
just follow us on Facebook and Instagram and X. We have social medias out there. We're gonna have we have a Discord. We're gonna have a Patreon as soon as I can figure that out. I'm not very literate when it comes to those kinds of things, but follow us on there. Drop us some comments on things you might want to hear. Let us know how we did. Just different things like that. And other than that, thank you for stopping in. I am Garrett.
I'm Cody.
And we are
the Bourbon Nerds.
Thanks for coming in, guys. Have a good night.
Have a great time. Bye-bye.